Welcome back to another episode of Champion Standard. We've got James Hale joining the show. Going to talk a little bit about spring football. We got Selection Sunday, and the softball girls continue to roll.
Hey, Al, yeah, you said it. I want to start with the first thing you said. Before we do that, please like, subscribe, download. You can find us Champion Standard. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, the OU softball team, 26-0, 26-0 in the old rebuild year.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, they just keep. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
They just keep winning.
I know, and
they just keep winning.
I keep getting concerned that I'm gonna just keep drinking Kool-Aid and just okay, we're undefeated, so different team,
I'm telling you,
same results. Here we go.
If this was any other team, it would be dark horse to win and all this stuff, but because we've done it 4 times before, they're like, no way, it just can't happen. It just can't happen. The odds say no, of course, but no one ever say no to Patty Gasso.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they timely hitting, pitching when they need it. Just same story, new team. I love it. Yeah, I just keep it rolling.
So what does their schedule look like now? Who are they? They got through.
They just swept the Pigs.
Right. So who do they have now?
Now, so they played South Carolina and Arkansas, and I know they have Florida and Texas at the end of the season. Those will be the last 2 series. So this in between here, I couldn't tell you who's next. I don't have it in front of me.
So yeah, I mean this is pretty wild. I mean, just keep on winning. So they've got a little break here with East Texas A&M.
Yeah,
and then they start their series with Missouri next weekend in Columbia. And then they got that'll be a good one. And then Wichita State get a little break, and then that's a good one too. Tennessee.
Oh,
and then they finish. Yeah, that's gonna be a monster. Yeah, I mean they're gonna close out their season pretty strong.
Yeah, I was looking at that Tennessee series will be at Love's Field in Norman, and I think that's move-in weekend for me. So I would like to try to get down there and watch the game, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get away. That's probably besides the Texas series, that Tennessee series, is the best one on the home slate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know we'll get James on here in a minute. I know he's excited about spring sports as well. It is Selection Sunday, so here in about an hour or so, I think the men's bracket will be unveiled. I think the Sooners have missed out the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years on the big tournament, something like that.
Yeah.
So really hope they can sneak in this year. Just been a brutal conference season. The SEC's had one of the best seasons in a long time as far as conference dominance goes. So we'll see if, they let 10, 11 teams in the tournament or whatever. But
yeah.
Yep. Hey, I think we got our guy here. Yep.
Do I need to turn my phone sideways or something, or are we good?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I couldn't get my computer to work, so.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'm probably going to be using my phone here in a couple of weeks because I'm getting ready to move, and I'm probably not going to be settled into my office yet. So I'll know the feeling.
Okay.
But
All right. Well,
welcome.
I really need to upgrade my computer, but it's such a major cost, and everything. I haven't done it yet, and so that's kind of where that's at. You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I gave you the proper intro. Long time journalist for OU. You're still with.
Well, no, I'm with all Brainiacs.
Okay.
So and I'm I'm still covering OU, working for the Brainiacs. I have a podcast report called Die Hard Sooner Report, and
Okay.
if you could promote that, I would appreciate it. And
we just did, and we'll do it again.
Okay. So, are we live right now?
We are going.
Okay, good. So yeah, I've been covering OU since 1975 when I went to school. That's when broadcasting at OU was, they allowed students to do a lot. KGOU was more of a student training center then than it is now. I jumped right in and I got a chance to cover OU and do play-by-play right away. And I did that for 4 years and then actually started getting work in the business when I was a graduate student there. And, I've been covering, I called it the rock and roll years of college sports at OU. OU was great at everything when I was there. Barry Switzer was the head coach. That was the 74, 75 teams. And Jimbo Rod, the Selman, Joe Washington, Steve Davis, Randy Hughes, some of the greatest players ever to play. And Barry rocked it, for, 13, 14 years. So then, we had, Enos Seymour was the baseball coach and he was rocking it. And Stan Abel was the wrestling coach and doing great, and so you had Dave Bliss and basketball. And then you had Billy Tubbs coming in and, Billy played basketball like, as great as you could play it in the college game. And so while I was in school there and soon afterwards, even when I was getting my master's degree, OU was the rock and roll of college sports. I mean, Barry Switzer was the coolest coach ever. I get to go to every practice and he would call me out. James, have you talked to any recruits lately? And stuff like that. Or he'd say, did you see Jackie Ship walk by? And, God, and he would just, give me and Coach Switzer knew exactly what I needed for my, sportscast at KNOR at the time, which is now KREF. And he knew what some of us really need. And he was a perfect media coach. And all his coaches were really cool too. And it was just really a great time to get into college football. And, Brent's really good to us too. Brent has allowed us to go out and he talks to us. And some people think he talks too much. Man, in the media, we can't get enough of a coach that wants to talk to us. It doesn't matter if he wants to do a 26-minute monologue or not. Who cares?
Yeah.
As long as he wants to talk to us, that's what it's all about, right? So, and he does, and it's been a lot of fun covering Brett. And I really think this year is going to be a great year, and he's going to be the head football coach for a long time.
Yeah, well, you did, man. You named off a lot of stuff. You did get spoiled early, didn't you?
Goodness. Oh my God! I mean, when you get a chance to cover Wayman Tisdale in basketball, and then Stacey King and that group in college basketball, and as good as they were, and when you get a chance to do that and cover all those guys, and then in baseball, baseball, Enos sent them to the World Series 5 straight years, and you had Bob Shirley, Mike Umfleek, and and Jackie Parrish and those guys and Jackson Todd. And some of those guys went on to play Major League Baseball for a long time. And then Stan, Iowa was the champion wrestling team at the time, but Stan Abel, gave them their greatest challenge. And when you have Andre Metzger and you have the Schultz brothers and you have Derek Glenn and you have, Jim Hall and, you have Steve, Dr. Death Williams, and you're traveling with those guys. At times I was doing play-by-play of all those sports outside of football. you know, and I was getting a chance to do play-by-play of all those sports. Yeah, I think it was the golden era. And track and field, you know, J.D. Martin and Coach Crone, they had it going. You know, they finished third in the country, and they challenged Baylor with the great Michael Johnson, who was the greatest 400-meter guy in the world at the time.
Wow.
And we had Don Bly and those guys in the relay, and really challenged those guys. And so, yeah, it was a great way to cut my teeth, no question about it. I did get spoiled. And, you know, you can sit there and think, well, you know, they're going to win like that all the time. Nope, that's not quite the case, but it was a blast. But Oklahoma's won a lot during the time I've covered them. And I was the play-by-play voice of Sherry Cole's first 2 years. And, of course, right after that, Sherry, you know, built a team that went to the national championship game and lost to Connecticut. But, you know, I was there when Stacey Dales was being recruited, and the Paris twins and D-Rob and Whitney Hand came in. And so, you know, you've seen some great times at OU, and it's been a blast. It really has. But college sports has changed. I've seen it gone from where it was when, you know, $100, you know, handshakes were, you know, it's a bad thing back in the day. You know, you're going to get in trouble. Now, $100 handshake is legal. You just walk up and give it to them, you know, and you're just paying players hundreds of thousands. Now they're 200,000 or $2 million handshakes, and it's a whole different game that's hard to really wrap your head around. That's for sure.
Yeah. Rob likes to call it the Wild Wild West. Sometimes that's what it feels like. You know, it just you know, anything goes anymore. But so you ought to get some kind of.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, it's changed so much. It's hard to recognize it. You know, when we recognize it, guys, when they actually play, when they actually get within the white lines, or it looks like the same. I mean, I'm watching college basketball right now, and OU is going to get into the NCAA tournament for the first time under Porter Moser. And talk about a happy guy, and talk about a team that's excited. They're so excited. They're letting the media come out and watch the selection show. That's how confident they are. They're getting into the tournament, and they should have got in last year, and they didn't. Should have got in his first year, and they didn't. So all this angst about him is a little out of place when you consider where basketball is at the moment and how much, you know, OU really supports basketball. But my point is that when you watch this sport, no sport has been more scrutinized than men's basketball. No sport has cheated more than men's basketball. But then you get into the pay-for-play era of men's basketball, and you know, now it comes down to which programs are really going to support the program. How much NIL are they going to put in? And, you know, and you can tell, I mean, Kansas, when they won their last national title, $20 million team, everybody said. This year, Alabama, $20 million team. Well, you know, when you go play those teams, and they've got players that are making $2 million just to play that year, and that's how much the NIL. Auburn, $16.5 million for that team. All right, you know, you see those stats out there, and it blows you away. Now, when you get between the white lines and you actually watch Alabama and Auburn play, it's just a heck of a game. You don't think about it as much, but it's here, and it's hard to wrap your hand around. You know, I'm covering guys right now that are making more money than I make, and are going to make more money in 1 year than I've been able to make in my lifetime. So it's kind of it blows you away sometimes when you try to think about it, but that's where we're at. And yet they're asking you, the general fan, please donate $100 to $200 to help us pay those guys. And you know, that's where everything gets in the wash, right? So
I don't mind contributing a little bit, but you know, we gotta start getting those championships back up on the banners or whatever. But you ought to get some kind of award for 50 years of covering OU, because this is your 50th year, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting. I don't know if OU still wants me around or they don't. I don't know. They're not really stopping me, and I still get the emails, come out and go to you things and things like that. You know, I'm not really working at a radio station right now, and whether or not, you know, I get in, I do go on the Tulsa Sports Animal every Monday at 10:20, and you know, so but the football Brainiacs has been a great stop, because the Brainiacs reminds me of an old-fashioned journalistic group because they report the way that I cut my teeth on reporting. Tell us who, what, where, and how, and make sure you have not only one source but two source. Verify, what
Yep.
you can get. We don't care about hits. We want to get it
Yep.
right. And I think
Yep.
those people that subscribe to the Football Brainiacs, and I always tell people they ought to. And nobody knows who Charlie is, and nobody knows who Kay is, and everybody. I'm kind of the guy people know, and I'm their boots on the ground in Norman. But everybody's got sources, and we, rally around those sources, and we use those sources. And I think we're the one group out here that does it right. We're not looking for hits. We don't care. And we don't care for first, even though we're first a lot in a lot of things that we do. And so it's really a cool place and a cool group to be a part of.
Yeah, you're not going to get an argument out of Rob and I. We've been following the Brainiacs for 7-8 years. I don't know how long, but
yeah, I think I've been on there for at least 10. I mean, I've been there since like at least 2013. I've always just I found it, and you guys were Brainiacs were free for like 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it was free. I mean, they were just posting information out there for free for a long time. Kay and others, and when they went to the donor model, like, oh my gosh, I'm probably 6, 7, I don't know how many years ago. I've always appreciated how there wasn't any over romanticization of the information. Like you said, it's how, what, why, and here's our sources, and that was it. Where other people kind of go into that clickbait type stuff. I never really appreciated the clickbait. And then now today, I mean, you flash forward to 2024, 25, you've got websites that literally just lie. Like, they just make stuff up. So you've got like the Brainiacs that are, we've checked sources. You might not be the first, but I like the nuggets that you guys put out there as you guys are working through the week of something like something big. You especially have like these little nuggets in there where it's like, you're working. I'm like, like I don't want to I like the Jim Knowles stuff. Like, you're like, you put that nugget in that, hey, his wife is searching for homes in Columbus. I don't know. Like, you were working. I'm like, that was back like that Monday, Tuesday, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna move. But like, each one of you, from you and Kay and Charlie, had these nuggets, and then you guys pieced it all together. It was very natural in the way that the information was getting trickled down. Whereas other places that didn't have sources, they lie. We're just pounding the table on all this clickbait crap, and it was just nauseating. So just the way you guys piece it all together, and the way you guys have little put nuggets in everywhere, it's the way that you guys have always been truthful has been why you guys are the best. So
I appreciate that. I think that's what I like about us. And we don't always, I'm not saying we don't check what everybody else is talking about. You do, you have to run your traps. But if we don't get the same info, we don't always run the same direction. And the Knowles situation, obviously we didn't. And, so, we've got what we think are good sources, and we work with, people that we think are credible, and, and sometimes we work with the source. And so usually we get what we need to get to report on the topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your, obviously we read your stuff every week because we're Brainiac subscribers, but what's your, how are you feeling in spring practice right now? Let compare it to last spring to this spring. And is there any kind of new feeling, or is it pretty much just kind of the same?
No, I think there's more of, I think Ben Arbuckle has juiced the spring. I think Ben has come in. He's a young guy. He reminds me of Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley as an offensive coordinator was great, right? And, let's face it, he did really well from a winning standpoint early in his coaching career at OU. But Lincoln was very youthful. Ben is even more a normal guy and just a guy than Lincoln was. I mean, you know, Ben, if you saw him at a restaurant and went down and talked to him, he would be very much like Mike Leach. You know, Mike Leach, if you saw him at a restaurant, he'd tell you to sit down and, you know, and he'd buy you a glass of wine because he's drinking wine. You know, I mean, he would, I haven't met Ben at a restaurant yet, but I got a feeling it's the same thing. He's probably more of a beer drinker than a wine drinker, but, you know, I mean, I would think that it would be more of that. And Ben has juiced the spring. He's energetic. He's all over the place. He's, you know, he's very loud. You can hear him. He's jumping up and down. He's, you know, he's in the stretching with the guys. You know, he's very much in there. And he's got a quarterback coach. And so the quarterback coach, Kazuski, is very much involved from day one, which, you know, Seth Luttrell didn't have. And Seth, as good as Seth was and as good of a quality coach that he is, he never coached quarterbacks before. And it was just a different vibe. And John Mateer is a little more Baker Mayfield-ish than Jackson Arnold was. And so this camp is just a little more lively. It's a little more juiced. You have a little more of a good feeling about this camp because those guys on offense are really jiving. And here comes Mateer in, and he's running up and down the field every time he throws a touchdown pass. And we're going, man, we've seen a quarterback do that before. And that quarterback was pretty good, right? And so he gives you the vibe that he can be that guy. And so everything looks better. You know, last year the injuries just derailed everything. But in spring, you know, those injuries, everybody was doing pretty well. And so you thought, you know, that offense was going to be pretty good. And then in training camp, Gibson gets hurt. And then, you know, and everybody just, you know, it just didn't work out. And the offensive line got banged up. Nobody's ever lost their wide receiver crew before. And that team did last year. And you know, then you lose your offensive line. And then on top of it, you have rookie quarterbacks. And then you find out that they could have had Dylan Gabriel back, but, you know, they'd already made the commitment to the young guys. So they just needed to move forward. And I think it's almost this camp is a breath of fresh air. You know, they moved forward. They did get the offensive coordinator they wanted. They did have the NIL structure to get the quarterback that they wanted. The quarterback they really like, and Michael Hawkins decided to stay within the program, and he's even agreed probably to redshirt this year. But he wants to compete for the starting job, but they're both running with the first team offense. You know, they're doing him a solid. They went out and got, you know, the two of the best tackles in the high school ranks, and Foje and Fasusi, but they also went out and got Simmons and the young man from Stanford. And so they're all of a sudden tackle strong because Sexton is healthy in the spring. Allen is healthy in the spring. Well, they weren't healthy at all in the offensive line last year, you know, and even though Heath Ozita and Logan Hallen are hurt this spring, they still have quality people in the offensive line. So there's just more of a bounce and a juice. And I think everybody in the building is excited about Brent Venables calling the defense. Now, they were all shocked that Zach Alley left the team. And that was, you know, here Zach, after 1 year's leaving his mentor, the guy that really developed him, for whatever reason, and there's been all kinds of theories out there, and I haven't been able to talk to Zach about it, so I don't know. But when you thought about who he was going to hire and you had everybody's opinion, he's got to hire a big name. He's, you know, he's got to go after this guy or that guy. I knew in the building that everybody wasn't sweating it because they had what they felt was, and what they believe is the best defensive coordinator in the country as their head coach.
Right.
And so, you know, when Ted Roof was here, he was calling the defense basically. So now he's just let everybody know for sure he's calling the defense. That's the difference. You know, we kind of, you know, Ted Roof had the title as a defensive coordinator, but Brent was really calling the defense. Well, now there's no work around it. Brent's calling the defense, and he's got two defensive coordinators in Dreiling and B Hall on his staff. He's got two co-defensive coordinators in Todd Bates and Jay Valai. and they bring Dreiling in, and talk about a breath of fresh air at linebacker coach with Skowski working with him. I mean, so there's just that kind of vibe. Having Kevin Wilson back in this group is a tremendous plus. Kevin's one of the best coaches I've ever reported on. Look, when Kevin was here, OU scored 60 points 5 straight games. They had Adrian Peterson and Sam Bradford, in the same backfield. He coached DeMarco Murray and Jason White Sam Bradford in the same backfield. He's incredible, and you get him back to help Brent maybe a little bit on the sideline when Brent has to do some coordinator things. Hey, Kevin, you're the head coach for 2 minutes. Take over. If you got to do something, do something. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't. I don't know if he's going to be on the press box or down on the field. All I know is Kevin Wilson is a great football coach. So you get him back, and Kevin, work. It's a pleasure again. He hasn't changed much. He told me, he goes, James, I'm just fatter and I'm stiffer. Okay, well, yeah, we all are, right? So, but it's been a pleasure to see him and what he looks like, and so there's just a bounce in the step. The defense loses 3 really good football players, and I think they're all going to get drafted in Ethan Downs, Danny Stutzman, and Billy Bowman. I really like all 3 of those guys. Those guys stayed in the program when they could have left, and they stayed.
Yep.
Then you had the big move in the spring of Jaron Kanak, who was fighting to be a starter, was probably going to be the 3rd linebacker. He moves to tight end. And then you talk to him, and he talks about why he moved and why he loves being a Sooner. We just don't get to hear stuff like that anymore. Or if you do, you don't believe it, and it's hollow because guys are leaving and they're transferring out, or they're transferring back. When the slot receiver that got hurt last year, help me out here, Burks, right? Burks, Deion Burks. When we talked to him, and after he announced he was coming back, I really believed him when he said, I've got to establish some roots in college football. He goes, I've left Purdue. He goes, I can't really go back there. He goes, and then, I got hurt last year, and I just thought it would be better if I could get my old number back, and I could come back. And he goes, I need to have some roots because I want someplace to go when I want to come back. And I thought, okay, this guy's got it. Oh. If OU had recruited him out of high school, he probably would have stayed at OU and been so and here was Jaron Kanak saying all the right things that we used to hear from players all the time. This is what I used to hear from the Teddy Lamans and the Brian Bosworths back in the day, why they stayed at OU. One of the best interviews I've ever had was with Gerald McCoy, talking about what OU meant to him and why he wanted to stay at OU. Well, Jaron Kanak will go down with one of those guys that I totally believe in, because he really wanted to be an Oklahoma Sooner, and he wants to be. And this move to tight end seems to be working. He scored a touchdown the other day. Was awesome. The first receiver out there the other day, and he's more of an H-back type. The kind of offense we had.
My ears.
Right, I think him, lining up, and OU they have to have an H-back type, and so, and I really hope Mitchell becomes what they want at tight end, because Ben Arbuckle wants to move, or wants to have the tight ends be a major part of this offense. And so, we'll see.
Absolutely.
But so far, I think tight ends, I think the spring has been great, and it's had some great juice, again, because Arbuckle is in, Mateer is in. Those guys are Energizer bunnies when they're in there, and the team's responding to it.
Yeah. So, hey, we got about 5 minutes here with you. I'm going to make sure you get out of here promptly at 4:30 so you can get to the LNC. But how about those lady Sooner softball team? Just keep rolling. They don't know how to lose.
No, they know how to win. That's exactly right. And it's been great to see. You know, when Sid Romero and Shay Knighton and that group with Paige Parker won the national title when they were freshmen and sophomores, that shocked me. I didn't think they would be able to do it as freshmen. It's so hard to do. So here Patty is facing the same thing. You know, she's graduating the most iconic class in the history of the sport, with so many players that will go down when they redo the best players of all time. Maybe 3 or 4 of those girls are going to be on it, right? And now Patty's the coach of Team USA. It's not going to surprise me if 3 or 4 are not on that team. I thought one of the problems in recent Team USA competition was that they didn't have enough OU players on it. I mean, OU's dominating the sport over the last 4 years, and over the last 7 or 8 years, no program has been better. You're going to tell me you're not going to have Jocelyn Allo on this team? She's only the greatest home run hitter they've ever seen. Get her in shape, get her in peak shape, put her on Team USA, and let's see what she can do. She can catch up with a 73 as well as anybody. So I just didn't understand how Jocelyn Allo wouldn't be full-time on this team. And that wasn't happening with the past coaches, with Team USA, but we'll see now. So here Patty rolls in with this freshman team, and Jordy Ball transfers out, a couple of years ago, or she would have been a senior on this team. And, Kelly Maxwell graduates, and you're thinking, do they have an ace on this team? Again, they're going with the staff. Well, one thing we know that they can hit. And then once again, they're playing great defense. Hannah Core has gotten healthy, and that really helps the defense in the outfield. And this team with Ella Parker in the middle, Cassidy Pickering in the middle, and then Gabby Garcia coming on, and she reminds me so much of Grace Lyons. But Grace didn't hit like this as a freshman. Now, I don't know if Garcia is as good defensively as Grace as a freshman, but she's close. And so there's a little bit of a trade-off there. But getting Agbayani to play second base, this is a former shortstop, and she's playing second base as well as Tiare played it defensively, that's for sure. And Dayton is so good in the outfield, and, she can play anywhere out there. And then the freshman Barker, who's come on and, hit well early in her career. And then you're seeing Nellie McEnroe Morenas, who would have helped this team last year. Patty thought if they would have had her last year, that she might have played third. And, and so Brito might have played somewhere else. Brito might have been the starting shortstop. Tiare Jennings might have been back at second. It would have been a different team, but Nellie was that good. And Patty thought Nellie was good, but she had an ACL tear, and they decided to redshirt her. Well, you're beginning to see the impact that she could have on a softball team. She's really playing well, and she's really good third baseman. When you get compared to Sid Romero, you're pretty good, right? You lose Kinsey Hansen, and I don't think Emmerling is Kinsey Hansen. Kinsey's hard to replace. I mean, OU's had some great catchers, whether it was Schultz, Scaglione, Ashley Barrett back in the day. They've had so many great catchers, but Emmerling's hit 7 home runs, man. And when she hits them out of the stadium. She's just really, really good. So it's going to come down to pitching. I don't know if Sam can pitch every game. Bella Smith has been beaten up the last couple of weeks. Kirsten Deal hasn't been as dominant as we hope. Lowry was either sick or something this weekend, so she didn't get the throw. So we haven't seen the staff at full bore yet, and because Landry wasn't available in the first week. And so I look forward to week 3 or 4 when everybody's available and we see what they look like. The only thing I worry about right now is the pitching. They've been able to out hit everybody and out slug everybody. Maybe that's the way to go. I mean, Texas and Florida playing to 13-7 games and stuff like that. That's kind of the way it's going. Everybody's just hitting, but it would be nice to have some shutdown pitchers, and it looks like Sam can be that kind of pitcher. and that's great for her. I mean, she has been pitching in relatively anonymity. I mean, nobody knew her, right? Even when the Raging Cajuns came in last year, I don't remember her pitching against OU. I don't think she did. And so here she's become the ace, but they need another pitcher or two to come on. And Peyton Monticelli had a really good inning, but they only pitched her one inning. Okay, they don't trust her, you can tell a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks, because pitching is the name of the game in softball. And the baseball team, I don't know, they were tied 1-1 when we got started here. And so they're in South Carolina, but they can pitch and they're going to be really good. And I really think the baseball team is going to match up really well in the SEC. And in the track team, they just had a national champion in the triple jump, and that's pretty good. They finished 4th. That's the highest the women have ever finished in indoor track and field. So again, sports, it's going pretty well at the most dangerous time we've ever had in sports, with the pay for play coming in. It's just going to be interesting to see how all these other sports still survive and how they do, because the way the money is going to be divvied down, there's not going to be much left for the Olympic sports. And so it's going to be interesting to see how these sports survive.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. Hey, we want to make sure and get you to the LNC on time, but Rob and I
you want to ask something else?
Rob, you got any questions in your holster there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do have one question. If there's one player on this roster, football, let's go to football. If there's one player on the roster who has that it factor, not Mateer, take Mateer out, but who has an it factor that is not getting enough love or enough hype right now in spring? Who have you seen at practice that has that it factor that just might be flying under the radar a little bit?
I think Giovanni Gibson looks like that to me.
Ooh, okay.
Arkansas, some guys just don't get recruited, or they don't get the run, the recruiting services. So they don't get to the major Power 4, Power 5, or they don't get started well at the major Power 4. And so they go to some place where they can play. And now Gibson is getting an opportunity, and he looks spectacular to me. He really looks good.
Awesome.
I think Kip Lewis is a guy that is always overshadowed by somebody. If it's not Danny Stutzman, it's Kobe McKenzie this year. But Kip is one of the hardest hitters, and I wish he'd quit celebrating all the time after every tackle, but that's okay.
He does like to celebrate.
He does.
If that's the only problem we have with him, that's good, right? So, I think that, he could be that guy too. And how about Marvin Jones Jr.? Marvin Jones was a 5-star, was always good to this reporter. When we met the other day, he recognized my voice, actually. And,
really?
And said, "You called a lot during recruiting, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I did. I thought you were coming to Oklahoma." And he goes, "I did too. And then the last minute I didn't. I went to Georgia and all this." So anyway, we know why, right? So, but, he's been a good player, but he's never been the great player. And if you can get him and R. Mason Thomas really rocking, and PJ Badabore really going, and Danny Okoye can emerge, all of a sudden you get the pass rush off the edge with those guys in at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Wow. And David Stone. Go ahead.
I was gonna say those are like some physical specimens. I mean, they are like from height, weight, speed are all checked. What all those guys you just named, height, weight, speed, all checked. It's just production, right? So, but yeah, that room is definitely not short of talent for sure.
And David Okoye, he has the physical physique we all want, right? I mean, he is, that's a good looking athlete out there, and he's really working hard, and he wants to be great. When you come from, what was it, 8-man football that he played, I think. When you come out of that, even though he was at the best league you can be at for that. It's interesting. but he is a true specimen. So I think the biggest knock with since Miguel Chavez has been at OU was that it's a group that you would think would have more production, but Ethan Downs got a lot better in his 4 years, and so Miguel can coach, and R. Mason Thomas has gotten better since he's been at OU, but in this defense, can they become even better and have more production? Because the defensive tackles are great. And David Stone at 316 pounds is going to be a monster inside. So,
Yeah.
They're going to be a good group. And, I think that, those are kind of the guys I think that are kind of under the radar that won't be under the radar very much longer.
That's a good list of names. I hope any of those guys pan out for sure. But hey, I wanted to give you another chance before we let you go to promote your podcast. Is it Die Hard Sooner Report? Is that right?
Die Hard Sooner Report, James Hale, Die Hard Sooner Report. I do 3 to 5 short podcasts every day. I do a podcast on OU football recruiting, then whatever sports are playing or recruiting for those sports. And for a small donation, you get that every single day. And the only other source you would need would be the football Brainiacs. Then you don't need to go to any other source. I handle all that for you. And, and so I think everybody would enjoy it. And so just give it a try and see what you think. I tried to get a really good looking woman to do, I'd write it out for her and she would say it or whatever, but I haven't been able to do that. So you got to look at my do it. So that's the only negative.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We need to find something like that too.
Well, guys, thanks for having me on. And anytime you need me, I'm available.
Yep,
so
absolutely, we really appreciate it. And go over and
thank you.
Watch the OU men's basketball team get selected. So thanks again, James.
Guys, great day. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
You too.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was fun, man.
That was a lot of fun.
He's got some knowledge. Woo. He goes back.
I mean, what do you expect?
He goes back,
years.
man.
50
Holy
years,
smokes.
Man.
50 years.
I knew it was a long. I knew it was a long time. I knew it was a while. But actually, him like, oh, this is when I started. 1974, the golden era. Let's go through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, that's great. I'm glad we got James on. I don't know OU sports without James, honestly. I mean, I've been,
right.
Anytime I've caught any OU football reports or news, it's usually got his name on it. So,
yeah, for sure.
that was great. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He sounds pretty sure that the basketball team's getting in. So, they wouldn't be having a get together at the Lloyd Noble Center if Porter wasn't pretty confident about it. I don't know if like some committees can like give people heads up or anything like that ever, just in case. But I don't think they can. But that'll happen here in about 20 minutes or so. I think 25 minutes. But yeah, I saw you get excited when he started talking about Kanak being potentially H-Back. Boy, you started squirming in your seat there. Those are music to your ears. H-Back. You and I have been.
It's been since like last summer, man. Like trying to find somebody that can be an H-Back or tight end or whatever. And like it's we know that Kanak's a great athlete, and if he's out in spring practice already getting comfortable, catching touchdowns and everything, and like that would be an ideal. But what's funny is he said Kanak was H-Back, and they're hoping for Devon Mitchell to be that tight end.
Right.
And if that were, because Arbuckle, I went ahead and pulled 3 clips already of some H-Back / tight end work. Well, I was like, I had to because I wanted to see. But Devon and Kanak, that would be pretty. I mean, we know how we talked about Devon Mitchell's height weight last pod and how he kind of reminded us of Martellus Bennett, how 6'6", 265 pounds.
Big boy. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big boy. And if big boy can move, whew, that is going to be a nightmare for some defenses. So, let's this, Jaron Kanak, the more I think about it, and with James mentioning him as an H-back, it kind of reminds me of what Ben Arbuckle did with his number 24 of last year, Cooper Mathers. Cooper Mathers, 6'2", 220. I mean, he didn't have a big stat line, but he had 13 receptions, 196 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, he was like I believe, Washington State's second leading touchdown reception person, I think. Let me look that up. Yeah, so behind Kyle Williams, who was their number 1 receiver last year, Cooper Mathers scored 6 touchdowns. And I want to take a look at that, actually. I want to see, how does Arbuckle, how does he scheme him up? So I think I gotta, now that James sort of mentioned that, I kind of want to take a look at what Jaron Kanak as a tight end would look like. And like I said, Arbuckle really didn't target the tight ends a lot, but he would scheme up plays for them, like this one here. This is early in the game. This is against San Diego State, and this is clip 5, down in distance, 2nd and 2, personnel grouping 11. You got a pistol set and kind of formation and boundary here, and they run a little flea flicker, and they're gonna just leak the tight end out, and I mean, he's wide open. Great play call. Look at that. I mean, Jaron could do that easily.
Yeah. No, I thought
That's
that was
super
Jaron.
easy. I mean, he kind of looks like him. Now that I don't know, I've had time to really think about it and time to really watch this again. I'm like, that does, now it makes sense. Maybe Ben Arbuckle turned on the tape. It was like, look, I took this guy and he scored 6 touchdowns for me. Easy play. I mean, and it was early in the game, and it turns up. He really has these play designs in the red zone. Here's one against Boise State. Look at this. I mean, this is early in the game. Again, 11 personnel. This is split back, which Arbuckle didn't really get into split back very often. But it's just another tight end leak. I mean, and what they're trying to do here is they're trying to get the illusion that there's going to be a screen out here to the field side, and they're just going to leak the tight end to the middle of the field. And here it is. I mean, they're just the backs are just flaring out, and then the Boise State linebackers are flowing to this field side, and they're I think this middle backer's thinking screen, as this guard's kind of working out, the play side guard is working out like he's gonna try to run this a screen, and he just runs, and look at that. I mean, tight end just leaks right into the middle of the field. I mean, you could just look at that, wide open. I mean, great schemed up play for the tight end for an easy touchdown. Easy touchdown. We can look at the end zone cam. There he is. He's just gonna pass set, hit the tight, and look at this throw, by Mateer. I mean, he has this defender in his face.
Yeah, just some good schemes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hand in the face, and then touchdown. Tight end. Easy. Here's another one versus Hawaii. Again, red zone, 10-yard line. And this is just a pop pass. I mean, this is just pop pass. Their defense is in it looks like cover 1, maybe even cover 0 here. It's definitely man. And the rocket that Mateer puts on this ball and the placement easy. Another. I mean, Jaron could do that. That is probably Jaron right there. I mean, and look at this. Look at how he rockets this thing, man. Steps back, boom, right over the referee's head. About maybe 10 inches from a defender trying to knock that ball. Threads the needle right to the end zone. Diving catch. Yeah. Great play. But yeah, I mean, in the red zone, Ben Arbuckle likes to use his tight end every once in a while to sneak in a touchdown. Here's another pop pass. I mean, same concept, just a different play. They got a China concept up here on the top. The looks like the Will backer is gonna go on a blitz here, and then Cooper Mathers, tight end H-back, line up in line, is just gonna run up a pop pass concept play here and just gonna slant inside, boom, easy touchdown. And look at Mateer take a hit on this play to finish this play out. He gets a free defenders on him, takes a shot to the hip, and delivers the ball. Here's the end zone cam of it. It looks simple. I mean, it's simple, but when you've got a running quarterback and you distribute the ball well and you forget about the tight end being able to do easy plays like that. Here's fourth. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think you hit the nail on the head on Arbuckle. Probably noticing something with Kanak to, possibly be able to utilize him. So,
yeah. And here's fourth quarter. This is to get in Utah State. This is just a PA rollout. This time Cooper Mathers line up as a fullback is just going to run a pylon play. I mean, he's just running frontside pylon, and Mateer just buys a little time, and it's easy pitch and catch. Buys a little time, reset his feet, deliver an easy ball. I mean, that is a role that for sure Kanak can fill in Arbuckle's offense. Like it. I mean, that I can see Arbuckle getting Kanak 20 receptions and 10 touchdowns. It could very well, the way that he schemed them up, that it could be something like that.
Wow, that's a lot.
I don't know. I'm just saying. 10 receptions and 8 touchdowns. It's going to be something weird like that, where it's going to be like very low volume, but he's scheming up these big plays. And, Jaron's got all the athletic ability in the world to fill that role for sure.
No, that's good stuff. Yeah, hopefully we just need some production out of that room, right? That's all we're asking for this year is H-back tight end room, just to give us just enough to keep defenses off balance, and not a position they can overlook. So
Cooper Mathers, 6'2", 220, 17.8 yards, or sorry, 15 yards per catch. 15 yards per catch, 13 receptions, 6 touchdowns. And then Jaron Kanak, 6'2", 230. And the athleticism is there. More than enough athleticism. I think he was definitely sold on a roll, which that's exciting for him.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I hope he can play somewhere. Anytime you got a guy like that that's talented and just keeps being, second, third on the depth chart, you want him to have a spot somewhere else if he can. But yeah. No, I hope it pans out.
So what are did we get selected yet?
Yep. It just happened. We are the number 9 seed in the West region.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we're matching up against the defending national champion UCONN Huskies.
Oh, God.
That's what here. Yeah, we finally get in the tournament. We got to play the defending champs right out of the gate.
Wow.
I'm happy for him getting in, man. But that is a brutal matchup.
Wow.
And then if they win, they would have to play Florida, which is fine. I mean, we've played a lot of SEC schools this year, so.
So we were the 10th SEC team selected.
We are the 11th SEC
11th.
team, and there's maybe 12th. There was another one that just got picked. So there's been 12. There's just a few other teams here to be selected, but yeah, happy for Porter to finally get in the dance. He's missed out his first 3 years, so just getting in there, and man, they had to fight and claw all year long in that SEC. Just brutal conference. Obviously, 12 teams in there and possibly a 13th here in a minute, but oof.
That's gonna be a fun
UConn
game, though.
Yeah.
It's gonna. OU needs to turn up the offensive rebounds. They need more second chance points. I've been saying that, watching through the year, is their second chance points and their offensive rebounding has just not been there. But, UConn. Ooh,
yeah, that's rough.
they're
Yeah, we've just kind of lacked a big man. We have Godwin and a couple other guys. We just don't have that
Yeah.
difference
That's
maker.
gonna be
Long big man that can. So yeah, that might have been the last Big 12 school. There's 3 more teams. Nope, Arkansas got picked. So 13, 2 teams left. There's 2 teams left here. I don't think this will be an SEC team.
A 9 seed. Are you surprised by that? A 9?
A little bit. I expected this to be more like a 12 or 11. Maybe an 11 is kind of where I thought we'd be.
Yeah, I figured it'd be in more of the middle of the bracket.
Yeah, they had
at the top.
They had a really good, or I should say, tough schedule, and I know that helped them a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there was 13 teams, I don't have the complete bracket in front of me just yet. I'm going to see what the lowest. So Vanderbilt was a 10, so they were lower than OU. See if there's another one lower. Mississippi State was an 8. Yeah, it looks like Vanderbilt was a 10. OU was a 9. That looks like the lowest SEC teams.
Yeah.
So they gave them a lot of respect with their seedings for darn sure.
Right.
Maybe that pays off going through such a brutal schedule like that. We get in the tournament, we knock off a UConn, play Florida. Who knows?
Did we play Florida on our schedule?
I don't remember playing them. You don't have the schedule there in front of you, do you?
I can get it.
I'll try to get it pulled up here too.
That's pretty surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 9 seed. My goodness.
I don't think we played Florida.
Alabama, Georgia, Texas, South Carolina.
We might have, because we played a lot of the good teams. But
there
they are. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Got smoked.
That got smoked. But getting that Missouri and Texas and Georgia wins at the end of the year really.
Yeah, and we lost by a point there against Kentucky that game in the SEC tournament, or we could have advanced on to the semifinals or whatever.
Right. Yeah, the SEC is just stacked. It's loaded.
It is.
So having that tough schedule definitely helped us get to the 9. And UConn's not the same team as it was last year at all. But
no,
it's just coming off of that. It's going to be a solid team. And this OU team has flaws, but UConn has flaws too. to see if we can capitalize on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. Baseball team just won too also. So good weekend for baseball and softball. Baseball wins their series and softball sweeps theirs again. So yeah.
Awesome.
Any
What
other
a day.
Yeah, I know. Lots of stuff going on right now. So
Who said it was gonna be boring, man? Off season's
right,
crazy.
right.
So
Yeah,
much
no,
stuff.
spring's always loaded with sports, so there's usually not a lack of stuff going on. But good show today.
Well,
I appreciate James coming on, man. That was fun. We'll have to have him
it
back
was a lot of
on.
fun.
He's a kind of legend in his line of business for sure. So we're good to wrap
Let's wrap
up.
this
You
up,
got
man.
anything else?
Yeah, let's do it. No, I don't have anything.
Yeah. No, appreciate everyone tuning in today. Enjoy March Madness, and we will next weekend I'm sure we'll be talking Sweet 16 and stuff. So thanks again. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.